During the period known as the Scramble for Africa in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, European powers raced to lay claim to African territories. While countries like Britain, France, and Portugal were at the forefront, Russia was conspicuously absent. One of the significant obstacles for Russia was the difficulty of establishing and maintaining a viable sea route to Africa. Several key factors contributed to this logistical challenge. Russia's northern coastline is adjacent to the Arctic Ocean, a waterway that is often frozen for most of the year. Even during periods when the ice melts, the waters are treacherous, requiring specialized vessels and experienced crews. The lack of a year-round open sea route from the Arctic Ocean to the Atlantic made it difficult for Russia to compete with Western European powers who had easier maritime access to Africa. To the south, Russia had access to the Black Sea, but this route was not without its challenges. Firstly, the Black Sea is connected to the Mediterranean Sea by the Bosporus Strait, which was under the control of the Ottoman Empire, a rival power. Relations between the Russian Empire and the Ottoman Empire were often strained, particularly during the 19th century when they engaged in multiple conflicts like the Crimean War. Even during periods of peace, Russian ships would have had to navigate the geopolitically sensitive straits controlled by the Ottomans to reach Africa. The Dardanelles, another strait connecting the Aegean Sea to the Sea of Marmara, was also under Ottoman control, further complicating matters. Russia's western maritime option was through the Baltic Sea, which provides access to the North Sea and eventually to the Atlantic Ocean. However, this route was also fraught with geopolitical challenges. The Baltic Sea was bordered by several nations, including Germany and Sweden, and was within the sphere of influence of the British Royal Navy. The narrow straits of the Danish archipelago, between the Baltic and North Seas, were another bottleneck that could be easily controlled or blockaded by other European powers. During the time of the Scramble for Africa, the European balance of power was delicate, and tensions among the great powers were high. Any attempt by Russia to use the Baltic Sea as a pathway to Africa would have been viewed with suspicion and could have been met with naval blockades or other types of military intervention. Certainly, beyond the geographical and geopolitical obstacles, there were other factors that made it difficult for Russia to establish a sea route to Africa during the Scramble for Africa. Russia lagged behind some of the Western European powers in naval technology during the 19th century. British and French navies, in particular, were more advanced, both in terms of the quality of ships and in navigation techniques. These limitations would have made a long sea voyage to Africa even more challenging for Russia. Effective colonial expansion often required a network of naval bases and coaling stations to refuel and resupply ships. European powers like Britain had an extensive network of such facilities around the world. Russia lacked this kind of global infrastructure, making long voyages logistically difficult and risky. Colonial expeditions were expensive endeavors, requiring significant investment for ships, troops, and ongoing maintenance. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, Russia was often financially strained due to its focus on domestic issues like industrialization, as well as military campaigns in Europe and Asia. Russia had pressing concerns closer to home, including the desire to consolidate control over Siberia and Central Asia, and managing tensions in the Caucasus. These endeavors required substantial military and financial resources, leaving little for overseas adventures in Africa. The Russian bureaucracy was often slow to act and lacked the decisive colonial agenda seen in countries like Britain and France. Without a unified vision or strong governmental push, initiatives for overseas expansion could easily stall. Public opinion in Russia was more inward-focused, and there wasn't a strong public mandate or enthusiasm for colonial expansion in Africa. Additionally, as Russia moved towards a more socialist ideology post-1917, colonial endeavors became ideologically unpalatable. In countries like Britain and France, commercial companies played a significant role in colonial expansion. Russia lacked equivalent powerful commercial entities with both the interest and the capital to fund African expeditions. Russia had to consider its relationships with other European powers. A move into Africa could risk antagonizing allies or neutral parties and could have repercussions on the European diplomatic landscape, which was already quite delicate due to rivalries and alliances. These factors, along with the geographical and geopolitical constraints, contributed to Russia's absence from the colonial race in Africa. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.